Welcome to the 65th edition of our newsletter, which has morphed into CITV, as you know. This episode will be much different from previous episodes, as by the time you are watching this, I would have been to London, which severely cut down on our production time for this episode. No matter, my colleagues and I decided that this episode would be a blog star, and who knows, it may become the vogue moving forward. The way that this will work is each segment that I report to you will be dated, meaning what is being said was current at that date. As we move forward through March and April, we will continually update. So if you watched the last episode regarding January and February, you would have understood we are having an atrocious time with Delray Beach Development Services, trying to get out of the review process and moving forward to demolition. We are caught up in the bureaucracy of this multifunctional, dysfunctional department which covers every discipline that you need to build a structure in Delray Beach. We first submitted our SPRAB application, an acronym for Site Plan Review and Appearance Board, to Development Services in September 2021. We then got their comments back in October the 13th, 2021. We then resubmitted the SPRAB application for the second time, answering as we thought the comments of the various departments that make up this unwieldy building department in Delray. It took until February the 22nd to get this disorganised department to get us feedback on our comments. This came with a whole host of, dare I say, forced out of them apologies with a series of ridiculous excuses. So it had taken from September until February of this year when we received their latest comments. The best part of 6 months, certainly unforeseen and not warranted. Our architects and designers' tight schedule have exasperated the situation, and it's a daily battle to bring people to the table to help review development services comments and respond accordingly. We are now on the cusp of resubmitting again, and it will be my job or one of our staff members to sit in front of the building department at City Hall, if that's what it takes, to get this review sanctioned positively in our favour so that we can get on with this development. I estimate that this charade has put us 4 to 5 months behind schedule and counting. So you may ask, what development services want from us, their comments and what they mean. Believe me, some will leave you scratching your head. I've decided to take you on a journey as best possible and explain visually and in layman's terms what it will take to satisfy development services. So the object of this exercise is to get you to share my pain. What we are trying to achieve is to keep 6 or 7 disciplines within the development services happy. But every time we alter one situation, it affects another. So we're continually round tripping to keep everyone happy. As you can see, the comments are long, laborious, tedious, and quite frankly, very time consuming. So where to begin? Okay, let's start with the easy stuff. The 9th comment on the TAC review. It took me around half an hour to work out what the acronym TAC stood for. Are you waiting for it? Technical Advisory Committee. So now we know what this other hurdle that contributes to the bureaucracy of the Delray Beach Building Department stands for. Anyway, back to the 9th comment regarding all the proposed driveways of the 3 townhomes, and the TAC review commented, and I paraphrase because you can read this yourself, that the dimensions of the driveways located along the alley and southeast 4th Avenue do not meet the minimum width standards. And then it goes on to quote some wacky code which in short says, please increase the size of the driveways to comply with the regulations. So currently, looking at the site plan, you can see the driveways are at 16 feet 2 inches. So we have increased all 3 of them to 20 feet 6 inches to comply. The code minimum is 20 feet and the maximum is 24. But anyway, we have taken care of it. The following is a bit complicated, so I've tried to put a visual together to help your understanding of this particular situation. Here is the site plan of our proposed 3 townhomes, and I want you to pay particular attention to the top left-hand corner of the plan, which is the northwest boundary of the plot. We've overlaid a satellite picture of the plot, giving you some better context. The way our architectural plans are drawn now shows the property line currently at 20 feet from the property boundary line. However, City Code dictates that the property building line should be at least 40 feet away from the property boundary line at this northwest corner, shown here as a red line. This is where they want us to start the property. Doing this would cut across the townhome swimming pool, which would be obviously disastrous. Factually, it is very likely that we would get relief from the city to start our property line at 25 feet as depicted here in yellow, well away from the swimming pool. This would be consistent with other properties' setbacks adjacent to ours and around the vicinity. We have shown this here in mauve. To move the property line back to 25 feet means that we've got to resubmit civil and landscaping plans and employ a horticulturalist to show which type of plants are being removed or moved and where they will end up in the final plans. Today, the 23rd of March, these plans are being worked on, and I'm pleased to say that the horticulturalist dropped everything to help the landscaping architect get his part of the job done. So a really big thank you. Really appreciated. Next up are triangles. Pretty little triangles. The TAC review number 16 reads, and again I paraphrase, the site triangles must be indicated on the site landscaping and engineering plans per another wacky code. It is asking the architect to move the site triangles within the property boundaries on the plans, as it's so important. So that's what we did. So at the beginning of February this year, we applied for a fence permit to put around the perimeter of our property. This was for a couple of reasons. One was obviously to try and keep people off our site and incurring an injury which would affect our insurance. And secondly, it would save us money on weed whacking the area to keep the vegetation down, as once it was fenced, nobody would see it and we would not get a code violation. We have already had the neighbours complaining that they wanted us to paint the house on the site white, as it was an eyesore since the Delray Beach Fire Department set fire to it for a training exercise. So a few weeks ago, this was mentioned to me by someone at the city, and I said perhaps the Delray Beach Fire Department would like to take a can of paint and a brush to the site and paint it for us. However, the Delray Beach Building Department also managed to screw up the fence permit application. Tester Construction Group went to the city to apply for a change of general contractor, and at the same time took the application for a fence permit in with them. Delray Beach managed to lodge all the documents together, and therefore the permit application did not move forward to the correct department. So on the 1st of March we had to apply again, and here we are today on the 23rd of March, still waiting for a simple approval for a fence permit. Any concessions for their mistake? No. Now this is a great one. The first round of TAC comments asked us to supply a traffic statement. So we called in a traffic consultant who immediately reported that the traffic was not significant on South East 2nd or South East 4th Street. In fact, it was not measurable. We forwarded these comments through our architects to the SPRAB board, but this was not good enough. And they want us to give them a traffic count. So bureaucracy wins the day, and our civil engineer John Haley can oblige. But this is the stuff that drives you crazy. Basically, SPRAB wanted our architect to draw dotted lines of the 2nd and 3rd floor balconies on the plans. Here they are. Is everyone happy now? Now, I know that the devil is in the detail, but you have to remember that this SPRAB board reviews our development's outline site plan to see if it meets rudimentary guidelines. Rudimentary, I say. As we move into the permitting, most of these questions would be addressed and are not totally relevant, although some are, I guess. But taking it all to the nth degree and remembering plans can change seems quite frankly redundant. It has been said to me recently that we did not need to go through this review process as we are building less than 4 dwellings. All a bit late now and not substantiated, but if it is true, this makes a mockery of the whole system. But anyway, we're here to play the game and to win it. Although we touched on this subject briefly in an earlier segment, the tree mitigation requirement came out of the blue, quite frankly, right at the last minute. At first it was a suggestion, and then it became a requirement of the SPRAB review, which was really quite shocking. When we have to move back the setback of the property line from the property boundary line, which we explained earlier, all the plans have to be changed: civil, landscaping and architectural. But a bonus is the new requirement, and that is for us to supply, through a horticultural expert, the names and sizes of all the shrubs, trees and plants on the site, whether they're going to be kept, and if so, where. This is bureaucracy gone mad, and to get what we need, and for this project to be built as soon as possible, we have to comply. Firstly, let me apologise for some of the sound quality in this episode. I just discovered that my receiver on the camera that receives a signal from my microphone was faulty. So in the next segment, the sound is good and okay, but a slight bit tinny for my liking. Anyway, the previous 4 days I found to be pretty productive. I managed to get our new friend Liz Hammer, an expert horticulturalist, to drop tools on everything she was doing and go down to the site to photograph all the plants, measure, then catalogue them to satisfy development services requirements. We need to list all the plants on the site that we are going to move or remove. So as promised, Liz sent these over to Peter Coyle at KWD very quickly so that he could work straight away on changing the landscape plan to accommodate the indigenous and non-indigenous plants and the new layout that he needs to do for the site. So yesterday I visited the site, and in the following segment I will try and simplify what the city is looking for, what the costs will be to us, and what I think some of the resolutions could be. But following this segment I will also put a bit more meat on the bone, so we have a complete understanding, or rather you can have a complete understanding of the situation as it stands today. Hi, welcome to South East 2nd Street. Things are really going great this week. I managed to sort out the arborist to speak with the landscape architect, and we seem to be getting things right with the civil engineer as well. And then boom, out the blue, I get an email from Peter Cole at KWD to tell me that we have a problem with the tree mitigation. Now, tree mitigation means that if we move a tree or we take a tree out, we've got to replace it. And that's great and dandy, except for this thing behind me, which I'm told reliably is a great tree. And I'm actually going to go in here and try and measure it. I brought my tape measure with me, but looking at it I'm going to get covered in bugs, and I don't actually really want to do that. But let me just tell you something about this tree. This tree we estimate has got a circumference or caliper inches of 60 inches. What that means is that if I get rid of this tree, I am going to have to pay $1,000 for every inch of the circumference of this tree, which means they will cut it down, they come to waist height, and at waist height they will go around the tree, and for every inch, it's called a caliper inch, that they measure, this will cost me $1,000. The alternative is that we take this tree down, we have to replace it, with other trees around the site here, but we have to get to a quantity of 60 caliper inches. So each plant that we put in, or each tree that we put in, say it's 10 caliper inches, we've still got to find another 50 caliper inches to replace this bastard behind us. So it's a bit of a nightmare. Now the other option for us is that we can see if we can leave that here, because it is on the far east of the property line, and to see if maybe we can build around it, and it will be, you know, quite a feature, possibly. I won't know that till this afternoon, and so probably in the sequence of videos that you're going to see and hear from me, I'll put that idea up and I'll tell you whether that flies or not. Challenge is that they want us to put a privacy hedge all the way around this property with fish. It's called a fishtail palm, and I can't pretend to tell you I actually know what that is, because I don't. But according to the landscape architect, he says, and I quote here, we will need to reduce that, I mean obviously the height of it, as it makes our totals too palm heavy, which means that there's too many plants on this property. Listen, it's a nightmare. It's something we've got to overcome. We've got a great team, we've got good experts that are helping us along the way, but what it's doing is it's just delaying another day, another 2 days, another week, and then it rolls into a month. But I can assure you that I am, and my team are doing everything we can to press on and try and make this happen as quickly as we can, and hopefully the subsequent videos that you're going to get through this month will actually substantiate that. Perhaps this video oversimplified the situation, so let me try and clarify a few things here. Firstly, our landscaper architect spoke to the landscape reviewer at the city, who told him that the street improvements we are making would need to be shown not only on our civil plans, but also on the landscaping and possibly the architectural ones too. So more cost there, appeasing yet another request. The city is also calling for a fishtail privacy hedge all around the perimeter of the site, as I explained in the video. Now doing this will make the land too palm heavy, too many palm plants. So we need to reduce the size of the fishtail palms and to swap in some other non-palm style plants, which we will have to calculate out and be notarized on the landscaping plan. But of course, the biggest challenge is the mitigation of the large sea grape tree on the east side of the property. As you have seen, this tree has multiple limbs coming from the trunk, and the city calculates these in the total trunk size. So if we remove the tree and assume the trunk size is 60 inches, at $1,000 a caliper inch, this is very expensive. The $60,000 we would have to pay goes into a tree fund. Yes, I know, but however, there is a local tree fund, and we need to get really innovative here. Peter Cole, our landscape architect, said that we might be able to go to the city and propose that if we remove the tree and replace it with other smaller, less intrusive trees, we could pay the balance of inches left over. Peter said we could replace 41 caliper inches with freshly planted trees, leaving 19 caliper inches left over. Now, according to the city mandate, any mitigation carried out at 19 inches and below, the cost per lost inch goes down to approximately $850 per lost inch, instead of the $1,000 a lost inch for 19 inches and above. Therefore, our contribution penalty, call it what you will, reduces to $16,000 and a more palatable charge than $60,000. We would hope the city would agree to such a suggestion. If this is not complicated enough, Peter said that although doable, replacing all 60 inches with other trees without compromising the project's integrity, aesthetic and views is challenging. Now, from my point of view, the best solution would be to see if our architects can incorporate this bloody tree within the existing plan. Therefore, we save a $60,000 ransom fee. The city gets to tick a bureaucratic box and everybody is a happy person. Well, sort of. Anyway, yes, they did finish on a great note as we had a 100,000 non-refundable deposit sent to us. Well, it's actually sent to escrow with another $250,000 to follow by the end of the month. This was for 406 South East 2nd Street, which was sold for $3.25 million, bringing total sales to $6,400,000. Leaving only the middle unit, 408, to sell. And with a ton of interest, we anticipate a quick sale will happen shortly. Now what we have to do is to get them built.
Hello everybody, I wanted to give you a quick update on the Delray Beach Townhomes and our newest reservation on unit 406. So a couple cool things about this reservation. One of the things is the buyer is actually local to the area, to Delray Beach. He just sold his home, so that way he could move into the townhomes. He also put down a non-refundable deposit of $100,000, that way to secure the property and beat out all the other competition. We had a meeting with him last week with his broker, who is actually from William Ravis Real Estate, the same brokerage as Matthew and I. He absolutely fell in love when he came to the meeting with the vision board, all of the materials used, the concept of the outside. He was very appreciative of the fact that the materials were very thought out, all the lightings were thought out, all the lighting was thought out, and that it is not just a stark white and gray project like so many other things developers are now doing in this area. He also is excited as the location is perfect for him. He had been looking around for a year and a half before he stumbled upon this location, called his real estate agent and said, I have to have this property. So we have another excited buyer and we are getting ready to go full steam ahead.
Okay, latest from Florida is that I woke up this morning to find that Adrian, our architectural project lead, who after speaking with Shane Ames, who is the senior partner at Ames International Architecture, is proposing to relocate the sea grape tree just enough so we don't need to redesign the driveway, which was my original suggestion. This would have added further delays for resubmittal to the city. However, Shane has his own landscaper going to the site today to assess this possibility and to let us know the cost to relocate the tree. So, more news to follow. Hi everyone from a sunny yet, as you can see, chilly London. The latest, Shane Ames' colleague Raymond met with Alan, an expert landscaper who is familiar with this type of situation, sea grape tree, etc. It seems like relocation may be quite costly when considering repairs to roadways where the tree root system is located. So Alan's suggestion is to severely prune the tree and leave it where it is. Now, at that point, we can then assess the situation and see if the tree still needs to be relocated. This is somewhat of a gamble, as to relocate the tree without taking into consideration the cost of roadwork repairs is on its own $7,000. The cost to prune is $2,500, which, although considerably cheaper, that cost would have to be added to the relocation cost of $7,000 if it is still decided this tree needs to be relocated. As you can see from the plans here, Shane and Adrian, together with their landscaping team, have decided to prune and clean up the existing sea grape tree and let it remain where it is. So to facilitate this, they have made some slight adjustments to the east driveway. So it looks like a considerable amount of time and money will be saved going this route. As you can see, the sea grape tree has had a haircut. Go figure. The challenge now is to get the agricultural, landscaping and civil plans redrawn so that they all match up with each other, and really to get this done as quickly as possible. Peter Cole at KWD Landscaping is having some scheduling problems, but has promised to do his best to get the plans to us later today or early tomorrow. Adrian, our architectural project lead, has now received the revised plans from both civil and landscape. However, John Haley, who did the civil plans, needs to recheck against the landscape plans to make sure there are no conflicts between the two. I have begged Adrian that once this is done to get all the signed and sealed plans and resubmit to the city early this week. I woke this morning to an email from Adrian Grandison, our project lead at Ames International Architecture, that he has submitted or resubmitted the SPRAG documents to Development Services at Delray Beach. Adrian says that he will follow up periodically to see how we are progressing within the system. I, on the other hand, will be calling every other day and speaking to the tentative contacts that I have made at the city to see if I can push for an expedited approval. Now, it's a thin line you walk undertaking this task, but I need to get an approval PDQ, and so I should employ this particular skill set that I have to see if we can achieve this. I will, of course, keep you posted. Well, that's all for now. Sorry this episode is a little late getting to you. I am at the time of this recording here in chilly London and will be until the 30th of April, whereupon I shall rush back to my editing suite in sunny, beautiful, warm Boca Raton, Florida to get this video presentation out to you. As you've experienced, this episode is a little different from past CITV episodes, and I hope this version has helped you understand how we are trying to progress the Townhomes Delray Beach project. And by the time the next CITV episode rolls around, I'm sure that approval from Delray Beach Development Services is very much behind us, and we are underway bidding out the various trade suppliers for the project and applying for the appropriate permits. New build developments take varying amounts of time at different stages of the project, and as I explained to one of our investors a few weeks ago, building new construction is like ballroom dancing: quick, quick, slow, then slow, slow, quick. And this is what we will experience throughout the build. Alan Parrott of Tester Construction Group, our general contractor, has assured me that as soon as we are out of the approval stage from Development Services, he and his team will go to work immediately to expedite the bidding process contemporaneously with all the building permit applications and approvals, not to mention the house on the land demolished and the groundwork prepared for constructing the townhomes. Now, as for sales, we have secured deposit payments on 2 buyers for the NCAP townhomes, and there is very serious interest in the middle and final townhome. And furthermore, on another note, we are continuing to look for other projects, but at this moment in time it seems that most land deals we are being offered are very much overpriced, and we find ourselves sitting on the sidelines and we feel no compulsion to go out and join the madness. I look forward to speaking to you in June, if I don't see any of you before. Bye for now.